West. Oh, the voices come together, a podcast so fine, telling tales of yesterday, crossing every line, with a jazzy kind of rhythm and a spark in their quest. It's the best in the West, we must confess. Late nights cramming or dreaming so tall, echoing footsteps down the old school hall. Friendships carved in stone stand the test of time, like the beat of a heart in sync and rhyme. Oh, the voices come together, a podcast so fine, telling tales of yesterday, crossing every line, with a jazzy kind of rhythm and a spark in their quest. It's the best in the West, we must confess. Time moves along, but the stories stay bright. Threads of laughter weave the day and night. Normandie's echoes beat strong in our chest. Forever we're tied to the best in the West. Oh, the voices come together, a podcast so fine, telling tales of yesterday, crossing every line, with a jazzy kind of rhythm and a spark in their quest. It's the best in the West, we must confess. We must confess. Normandie's echoes beat strong in our chest. Forever we're tied to the best in the West.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mr. Riley coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. Woo! We've been over here working out, man, just trying to make sure everything is nice and crispy and visually appealing over here in the studio. I am your host, Mr. Riley, and I have a wonderful, wonderful guest tonight. Man, first of all, just welcome to the NCS Best in the West podcast. I believe this is episode number 6, I think. But, you know, hey, we here, and I have a special guest. This guest is special because this dude was one of my dudes when I was growing up attending NCS way back in the day. Okay, this guy is one of the original 53. I think it's 53. One of the original 53, and he matriculated through the halls of NCS. Started at Pepperdine, switched over to 64th in Normandy, made it every single day, just about. I'm not too sure if he had perfect attendance, but, you know, he lived way out in the valley. And that was really puzzling for me. But, yeah, he made it from the valley every day. And so I'm excited to bring on my friend to kind of talk about and reminisce some of the things that we did as a classmate. And so, let me see. Let me look at my runner's show notes, okay? So today I'm sitting down with someone I've known since I had a lunchbox and the name on my backpack. Sean Jackson is in the house. He's now the varsity football coach at Verdugo Hills. And he's a dad, he's a husband. And before he was Coach Sean Jackson, he was one of my road dogs at NCS. So without further ado, we're going to welcome to the show. Let me make sure I get it. We're going to welcome to the show my friend, Sean Jackson. There we go. What up, sir?
Thank you.
How you doing? I'm doing, there you go. All right, now go for it.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend. Do me a favor, just bring the microphone just a little bit closer to you.
Absolutely.
And then we can get all that goodness. Okay. Mr. Jackson, what's going on, sir? How you feeling?
Man, I'm great, man. Thank you for having me. Iconic right here, man. This is iconic, James.
This is iconic.
This is iconic. Right
Absolutely. Do me a favor, dude. Look at the camera. Don't look at me. So I normally have a partition right in front of me, but today I'm doing something a little bit different.
Right.
But I think I probably need to put that partition
Nah,
up so you won't look.
We
I don't want
good.
you. Hey, I don't want you looking sideways when we replay the video. So just go ahead and look at the camera, man.
got it. You got
Man, it's
it.
been a long time, dude. We've been. I think we connected again last year at somebody's graduation party.
Yes.
We said we were going to hook up.
Yes.
We never did.
No.
But now we're here.
We are.
We are here. All right, man. So let's go ahead and talk about it, man. First of all, just tell us a little bit about yourself. Go ahead and give yourself some shine as we begin this wonderful podcast.
I'm modest, man. I'm modest. Sean Jackson, of course, class of '80, the original '53. Was at the Pepperdine campus before we moved over to
Yes, sir.
64th and Engage in Normandy.
Yeah.
Again, man, this is iconic, man. I appreciate being here. I've done some things since, of course, after leaving Normandie Christian School. Everything positive, but
Okay.
Again, I'm happy to be here, man.
Absolutely. Well, let's go ahead. This man is so modest. He was one of the dudes. It was only a few of us, man, in our classroom. And so before we even get to that, let me just go ahead and make sure everyone who's watching. So hopefully you're able to populate some comments in as we go along with this chat. Unfortunately, our NCS YouTube page is not being able to play around with this today, but it's a good thing. So here's one way that you can populate and put comments and participate in the chat, okay? And I just figured this out. So we're actually live on my own personal YouTube channel, which is Mr. Riley's World, if you want to watch on Mr. Riley's World. And then that way you can populate and be a part of the conversation. We want to make this as engaging as possible. So you can go over to YouTube. You might be watching on Facebook, and you might be able to drop a couple of comments. Let me see real quick if anyone has dropped a comment or two besides myself. Nope, looks like I'm the only one who's dropped a comment. But if you want to be a part of this conversation, of course, you can drop comments on the Facebook link. But if you really want to watch it, and that's where I'm kind of looking at and analyzing all the comments. So if you want to go to my personal YouTube page, just look up Mr. Riley's World on YouTube and just see the live conversation that we're having right now. All right, Sean, let's go ahead and get into this mug. We got a lot of information, a lot of time to cover, man.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and hop in it. Do you remember your first day at Normandie Christian School?
I do. Actually, I do. That was the day that it was kind of hard for me because, again, I've never been away from my folks. We didn't do the preschool thing, so we went straight to kindergarten. So I think the first two guys I met was yourself and John Green.
Okay.
And kind of gravitated that point. From that point on, we kind of ran with it. But that first day of school was interesting. It was interesting. It was a good thing, though.
No, it was. It was. And I think somewhere around here, I have a photo. Of some of the students. I don't know if you've had a chance to see it. Now, I know you cannot see. I think you have the broadcast on your phone, correct?
I do.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put up this this first day. Well, you know what? I don't even know if it's the first day of school picture, but I just know it's one of the first pictures that we have, and we kind of earmark it as the original 53.
Okay.
But here we go, taking you down memory lane.
Let's see.
What about this photo right here? Do you remember anything? Can you find yourself in this photo? Now, I know you're watching on Facebook. It's going to take a hot second. But you have it yet?
I do.
Okay.
It's up.
Do you know where you're sitting? Now, I know where I am. I see myself front and center. Let me go ahead and show you that dude right there. right there, right there.
Okay, there you
Well,
go.
you can't see my you can't see my cursor, but if you know me, you know where I am and what I look like.
Right.
I'm that dude right there with his hands. I'm like this, guys. This is how I am. I'm like this. I'm sitting like that. That's me. That's me. Now, do you know where you are in this photo?
I do not. I tried to look and find myself. I didn't.
You probably somewhere in the back.
Probably.
One of those.
Knowing me, the way my personality is, I'm probably in the back there hiding out, I'm sure.
Oh man! So here's. I mean, I'm looking at all these faces. I know some I don't know, but I do know I have a friend out in Texas. His name is Brian Davis, and you know he's lived. I met him actually in Texas at a National Youth Conference when I was young. Had no idea until a couple of maybe months ago. Had no idea that we were in the same class at NCS because his dad was a professor, one of the first Black or African-American professors at Pepperdine. His dad was teaching there at the Pepperdine campus, and so he's actually in the photo as well. Shout out to Brian Davis, my man right there. So there we go. Let me go ahead and, yeah, man. So first day of NCS. You can't, now do you remember what that was like for you?
Not really. I think the first day was more or less for the teachers to kind of calm everybody down.
Yeah.
For the ones who've never been away all day from their parents. I think it was a lot of crying, I'm sure, the first day.
I'm sure. But your boy, I'm speaking for myself. I ain't crying. I'm like, look,
Right.
Let's get the show on the road. What's up?
Yeah, interesting. I think I was a little shook at the beginning, but then once, I knew I was stuck there. I wasn't, I got to get used to this. It's gonna it's going to be an everyday thing here.
Yeah, every day.
Yes.
Every day. And, so do you remember what it was like growing up in that small but mighty first class of students from kinder to sixth grade? Because you were also one of the first ones beside myself who made it all the way through kinder.
Yep. To sixth grade.
Absolutely. So we got this photo right here. We see Miss Prescott at the top and Miss Miller.
Yes.
Our foster grandparent.
Mm-hmm.
So many years of nostalgia. What was it like, with a small class? Now class sizes are very, very large. What was it like for you as a student attending NCS in a very small classroom?
Nowadays the way the structure of parenting is and even with schooling, me working at a high school, and you see just how different we were brought up compared to the kids nowadays. So small class was great, a lot of one-on-one activity with the teacher and the student. Also, back in the day, it was like an extension of your parent because, as you and I both know, if you got out of line, that paddle was coming.
Absolutely.
That paddle was coming quick.
Yes.
And I look back at that, and I think that was something that is needed nowadays. But of course, we're far beyond that. So I am thankful just for the everyday interaction that I had at Normandie. Of course, being at a Christian school, everything was Bible centered. And we just had some morals, and kids just didn't do the things back then that they do now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So kudos to Normandie Christian. Kudos to my folks for putting us in a private education and private school because who knows, man?
Absolutely.
Who knows?
Hold on. But I have a question. Because I always knew that you lived far away.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think I really didn't really analyze or realize the length, the distance that it took, because we used to hang out in high school. So, we'll talk about that later.
Right.
But, and then, you would come out here and pick me up, scoop me up, right? White Mustang.
Right. Remember that.
Right? I used to kick it with you for the weekend. You bring me back.
Right.
As a kid, I didn't realize how far you lived away from NCS. So that kind of brings me to my next question, man. Your parents brought you every day from the valley.
Yep.
Now, first of all, how did you do that as a young person coming from the valley to LA, Not too sure if it was traffic, but how did you cope with that? How did you deal with that as a student at NCS?
It was different. You know, me and my brother both, we had to be in bed early because we knew at 5:30 we were getting woken up and getting ready to go. We were out the house, I want to say before 6:30, out the house and headed on the 5 freeway to the 110 and the exit off of Gage. And that went on for years. We started off not far. Like, I think we moved right after the school transitioned from Pepperdine to 64th in Normandie. We were actually on 75th and Budlong. That's where we were originally. And then we moved, and then the school, they moved as well. So
yeah,
but we moved out to the valley. That was a transition that we had to
deal with.
To make. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
See, and I'm just now knowing this is the first time that I'm hearing that you lived on 75th and Budlong, which is really close to the school,
Yeah,
because 64th
absolutely.
and Normandy, you could have just come straight up Budlong,
Right.
busted a left.
And
right on
Normandie,
64th,
yep,
and
exactly.
you would have been, coming up on the parking lot of the school.
Right.
Man, okay, so here's a part B to that question.
Okay.
How did that shape your early work ethic and your sense of responsibility? Because again, you had to go to bed at a certain time, you had to wake up at a certain time, and then in between you had, traffic going and coming
back.
How did that kind of help you frame and shape your work ethic and your responsibility?
Well, it's work habits, and at the time you don't look at it as, something that you'll use later on down in your life. But again, I'm kudos to my folks, both of them, that they instilled that early. You got to get up, you got to be in bed by a certain time, you got to be on time for this and that. We could never be late. And I guess that just kind of the regiment of everyday life kind of just, we just end up growing up and being that way. Got to be on time, man. Got to be on time. Got to be up. So there's a long drive like you obviously and we took advantage of it and went to sleep.
Yeah, and I'm sure traffic back then wasn't like
nothing
it is
to
now.
Nothing like it
right?
is now.
But I'm sure it's relative because they still had to get up and bring you guys out here. Now, here's the question, and I know your parents. Did they actually work out here?
My dad did. My mom at the time was retired from Kaiser. She worked at Kaiser, West LA, for Cadillac. And she retired for a minute. And then my father was actually working at Todd Shipyard, which is in San Pedro. So basically, on his way to work, he would just drop us off and keep going. So it wasn't like he wasn't going out of his way. I'm sure he would have, but it was just kind of easy for him just to jump off at Gage, drop us off, and jump back on the 110 and head out to San Pedro to the harbor.
That's cool. I mean, because if they had now, what would have been really crazy is if they had to go back home to the valley to work, and then come back to pick you up.
They probably would have done that just off the fact of we were in a Christian environment.
Yeah.
They were connected to a lot of people that were at the school that was connected to the church. Brother Green and I mentioned a few that were connected to that. So they were connected to that. So I believe even if they had to go back and forth, they probably would have.
Right. Now, reflecting and kind of reminiscing, going back to the brand new building, because like you said, we spent 1 year at Pepperdine, and then we transitioned over to the actual school, the brand new school on 64th in Normandie.
Right.
Do you remember who were some of your classmates or moments that stood out or stand out the most during your time at NCS?
I remember everybody pretty much as we were going throughout the years. I mean, there was kids that was obviously that wasn't in our grade, that was below. We just kind of knew everybody kind of was together. Everything was done together pretty much. So just to name off a few kids, the Carters, Lamont and Keisha Carter, Lakeisha, Chris Beavers, Brandon Beavers. I can start naming off I can start naming off people.
I know. Hold on. Let me help you out. I'm trying to. So here is our class, our graduating class from 1980, right?
Okay.
So you mentioned Chris. He's up there.
Right.
Right next to me. You got Michael Bryant. I remember
Michael Bryant. Yeah, Michael Bryant. Of course. Michael Bryant. Tony Black.
Yeah.
I think Tony Black's on there, right?
Yeah. He's on here.
Karen Black?
Not Karen Black. Karen Lee.
Karen Lee.
Karen Lee.
There you go. I'm sorry.
So you got Coretta. I saw Coretta a couple of months ago.
Right. Coretta Halterman. You got Ladidra Downs.
Yeah.
Leela Henderson.
Can't
forget her.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I just saw her not too long ago. So shout out to Cheryl and
absolutely.
And Leela.
Shout out.
My people.
Shout out to the class of 1980, the graduates that you see here. And of course, you see yourself right there.
Right.
Sean was a little short dude.
Still am.
Sean was a little short dude running around.
Right.
And then you have Demetrius. I used to see Demetrius on Facebook.
Right. Demetrius Goodman.
Yeah, Demetrius Goodman. Right. And then rest in peace, JG, John Green.
John Green, man.
And you got Elaine McAfee down there at the bottom.
Remember Elaine.
And then Karen Lee, as we said, and you got myself right there with the checkered shirt on and the shag. Right. Rocking the shag back in the day.
It wasn't Tony Black. It was Tony Boyd.
Yeah, Tony Boyd.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Black. Tony Boyd. Sorry, Tony. If you're watching, I don't want to mess your name up, man.
Tony Black was a couple of classes behind us.
With John Black.
Yeah. John Black too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
So yeah, man. So do you have any special stories or any memories that you remember, with any of our classmates or with some of the other students in some of the other classes under us?
Just all the experiences that I had at Normandy was phenomenal. Whether it be, there was never no bad. I can't sit back and say I didn't like that guy, I didn't like that guy. I do remember, though, a couple discipline actions that were taken against me at Normandy. I do remember that. And, again, today I am thankful for that. Mm-hmm. At the time that it happened, of course, I was thinking that was the worst thing in the world.
Of course.
If it ain't your father doing it or your mom doing it, why have another
parent,
female or another parent
whacking
me with a paddle? You know what I mean? So it's a little different. But for the most part, James, it was a great it's a great time, man. Great time, man.
Yeah. So I kind of like to ask this question to all of the guests on the podcast. We know you have a child, but if you lived in close proximity, or if we just copy the mold, you live out in the valley,
right?
And if NCS was still around,
right,
would you bring your son way out here to NCS? You can be truthful.
I probably, if he was down here, yes.
Okay.
By the fact that he's way out in the Inland Empire, probably not. But if I had an opportunity and a choice, I wouldn't. He needs that same experience that we were able to get. If
Absolutely.
The structure is still the same, I don't know how the structure is now at Normandie Christian, but I know before, I knew for a fact when the parents came in to enroll you to the class, it was a part of the contract that the teachers were able to use disciplinary actions against you. So you had to sign that waiver, and if you didn't sign that waiver, then they weren't going to accept you into the school. So again, times have changed dramatically since then. But again, I'm going to always go back to that because I'm in high school. I'm a counselor, and I'm also a coach, and I just see how the kids are and how they react to adult figures and authority, and it's not really how we were brought up.
Absolutely. So that kind of leads a perfect segue right into my next question. Was there a teacher or staff member who had a major impact on you at NCS?
Yes. I want to say Miss Rhodes, Luna Rhodes, she had an impact on me. We had a couple conversations that she would always get on me about certain things, and I remember, certain things you just remember.
Go ahead.
Her thing was, and I've had that still to this day. I get the fact that, oh man, everything's just, so nonchalant about stuff. But I just never was that. I wasn't ever a ward. But she was like, you need to be more assertive. And I took that from her. Miss Prescott, God bless her soul too. She was another one that was, very nice young man. You're a very nice young man, but you just need to be a little bit more, a little bit more assertive. So I've definitely picked those things up, and in my years of growth, those are the things that I've really picked up on that. Hard work, man. They were about hard work and make sure that you were accountable for your actions as well, too.
Absolutely, man. So do you remember any of the activities that happened during your time at NCS?
Yeah, hot dog day.
Hot dog day.
Hot diggity dog, hot dog Friday. Hot dog Friday was always a good thing that we did.
Absolutely.
There. I can't forget the chorus, Joy chorus. I was in Joy Junior as well.
Okay.
So those are the two things that really stand out right now for me. But I know we've had tons of activities, Black History Month programs and everything that we would do. But those are the things that kind of stuck out.
So let me ask you, were you a ketchup only? Were you a ketchup and mustard, and relish? I'm thinking ketchup was the ketchup one was number one.
Ketchup only.
Okay, and I think that was a number one, or maybe not. And then the number two would be relish, not relish.
Ketchup and mustard.
Ketchup and mustard.
Right.
And number three would be all three.
All three. Ketchup, mustard, and relish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, those are some good days, man. Those, and that's, one of the things I talk about with all the guests, what number? What number did you get on Hot Dog Friday?
Right. And they can't forget about the daycare, after school daycare.
Absolutely.
Miss Bird.
Miss Bird. Man, you going down.
Miss Bird. Miss Quick. Can't forget Miss Quick either.
Absolutely.
I remember, a lot of people I still remember, and fond memories.
Yeah.
Fond memories.
Yeah. No, definitely. Those are some good people, some good times, good days that we had over there at NCS. Okay, so let me ask you about some of the core values that that they taught at the school. What core values or lessons did you learn at NCS that you still use and apply to your life today?
Biggest thing for me, I tell this to my kid. I tell this to the kids that I work with, and this is big. I live by this. So I live by this. Treat others the way you want to be treated. Always, man. Be a servant. Be a servant. Step back. I know it's all about us sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's not all about us all the time. You know what I mean? And I just think that stuck with me more so than anything is to treat others the way you want to be treated. And that's the way I live my life to this day. That's the way I lived my life growing up. And anybody would tell you that knows me knows that I will give you the shirt off my back if I had to. And I always put myself behind. I'm always back. I want to see somebody else happy, somebody else flourish.
Absolutely.
I'll get mines in the back end. You know what I mean? It's not all about me. You know what I mean? And my gratification is to make sure that I'm taking care of someone else. So that's the biggest thing that I've learned at Normandie Christian was treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah, they call that the golden rule.
Absolutely.
That's like number one. Treat people how you want to be treated.
Right.
And if you want to treat yourself poorly or whatever or bad, and then just know that that's what people are going to do. But if you hold people in high esteem, and like you said, be a servant. And this always, when people say something like be a servant, I'm always remembering the episode of The Twilight Zone where at the end of the episode, I think they were getting on a spaceship or something. I don't know, but at the end, I think they showed a poster or a sign that says, they were serving man, and not really like serving man, like, hey, what would you like? But they were actually serving men on the spaceship on the Twilight episode. So when it's, hopefully we're not serving people. Of course. But we're doing our best to help people out, give them the shirt off of our back if necessary, and give them, my my minister likes to say, a splash
Right.
of God's glory.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to share with what you have.
Absolutely.
Because other people don't have it.
Don't have it.
All righty. Let me see. I got another question for you.
Shoot them.
Hey, man, I'm coming.
Shoot them. Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Did being in that tight-knit Christian environment influence your leadership style? So I know, and we can take leadership style not only in coaching, and we'll talk about that a little bit, but leadership style as it relates to being a father,
Right.
Being a husband as well. So
Right.
did you apply some of those, or do you apply some of those leadership qualities, from some of the efforts that you learned at NTS?
Absolutely. Those characteristics come into play. Learning that all from the school, from Normandie, and also being around great men. John Green, Mr. Krigler. Can't forget Mr. Krigler.
Yeah. In context, John Green was one of the first principals of NCS.
Right, he was my
and
first
then
principal.
Willard Krigler was the youth minister right next door to the church. So the church kind of really helped to get the school off the ground.
Right.
And so one of the duties of, I'll call him Willard Krigler, was to interact with the young people at the, at the school. So I don't think I'm not sure if he had an official title as a teacher, but he was always on campus because he was connected to the church.
Very instrumental.
Absolutely.
He was actually the coach of the basketball team.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken, he was.
I remember that
played
once.
for him. I remember that. So yeah. But those characteristics, all of them, play a part in today in my marriage and the way I raised my son.
Yeah.
Obviously, the greatest teacher for me was my father. I just kind of molded myself after him as well. But again, there was some great individuals at Normandie Christian that helped out. But mainly it was a lot of women that were very influential at Normandie, more so than men. There was a lot of the women. Yeah. Give you that auntie and that grandma love.
And the thing about it, it's still like that in education. If we look at education as a whole, you have a lot of ladies being influential. And of course you have males, but you see a lot of, in the education industry. And of course, you working at a high school, I'm sure you see predominantly, young ladies, young, middle-aged, I don't want to say old, but wiser, from all walks of life, whether it be in the cafeteria, counseling, teacher, buildings and grounds worker, assistant coach or head coach, some cheerleader coach, it doesn't matter. You have women who are very influential in these spaces. And so, we just tip our hats to all of the women, but definitely those women at NCS who had a major impact on what we did.
You can also see the dynamic, though, the structure that it is. And now I look at it being an adult compared to being a youngster, just the mama's boy and daddy's little girl. And it was pretty much the same situation. Like we tend to gravitate more towards the female authority compared to the male authority and vice versa.
Absolutely,
you get that. So
absolutely. Now we kind of talked a little bit about some of the traditions. We talked about hot dog days, one of the things that you enjoy best. We talked about being a part of the chorus. So my next question, some of the NCS traditions, and so along with the hot dog day, the basketball. Chapel, singing. Were there any other field trips that you remember that had a lasting impression on you?
I'm trying to think, because we took a few of those. I want to say the one that stuck to me that I can remember off the top of my head was when we did go to.
Now, I know you're old, dude, so you
right. We went to the zoo, man. I think that was my first experience with any animal. Was with Normandie. So I'm gonna say the zoo, but again, man, it's been so long, James. So long.
Okay, so I got one for you. I got one for you. Remember when? And I'm not too sure of the year. I remember we took a field trip to Hollywood to see what movie?
The Wiz.
Yeah.
The Cinerama Dome.
Yeah, the big, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's still.
See, you got to throw them out there. And once you throw the bait out there, I'll grab it. But off the top, yes.
Well, that's what I did. I gave you a low hanging fruit.
The
I
Wiz.
just told you to.
Right.
We left and went to Hollywood. And you were like, oh man,
Right,
the Wiz.
right.
And one reason I mentioned the Wiz is because our church just yesterday we had a family movie night and we showed the Wiz.
Wow.
So
Iconic again.
absolutely.
Iconic again, along with the movie. Iconic again.
Yeah, I mean that was just to see Michael Jackson and Diana Ross in that element, and just
Right.
to get off campus, to get off Normandie's campus,
Right.
And
Red
to-
Vines.
Yes.
Red Vines, man.
Yeah, to hop
remember.
on the bus,
Yes.
go to Hollywood,
Right.
watch a movie.
Cinerama Dome.
Yeah,
That
so,
stuck. Yeah, now you're right. That one stuck.
Yeah, that was some good stuff.
That
And then
one stuck.
some of the other, some of the previous guests have said like some of the, the days that they would have celebrities come out. I don't know what those days would be called, and then also performing at the annual fundraiser,
The dinner.
the dinner.
Yeah, the dinner. We used to do that too.
Yeah,
It was annual for us. The dinner for sure. The banquet or dinner. Yeah.
All right. If you could speak to current NCS students,
Current. Okay.
what advice or what message would you share with them about your experience attending NCS as a young kid way back in the day?
Oh man. Are we talking in the sense of where they're at today, or where they would have been when we grew up?
Well, I mean,
That's the question.
So I think NCS no longer is no longer a school. There's a preschool there, but it's no longer a functioning school.
Gotcha.
Right. But if there were kinder, first, second,
Right.
third graders,
Right.
what words of advice would you give them based on what you did when you were a child at Normandy?
Gotcha. First thing I would tell them is we so quick to talk, and that's why God gave us one mouth, 2 ears. Let's be quick to listen before we speak. Nowadays, everybody want to they hear what they want to hear, they filter it, and they want to start blurring out stuff. So that would be the first thing I would say to them. The second thing, of course, being at a Christian school, you got to have a center. You got to have a centerpiece, and that's going to be our Father, man. It's got to be a centerpiece, Christ. And be thankful that you're at an institution that is instilling that. I would say that too. Those would be the two things off the top of my head that would be like the first thing. And be, of course, and with all that being said, is the fact to be respectful, be open to constructive criticism. Just be constructive. The people have been there before you, lived a lot longer than you. Just be really mindful and just, again, just zip this up and open these two up. That's between your head.
That's some good advice right there.
Absolutely.
Because, that's half the battle.
Absolutely.
Kids, they want everything right now.
Right.
And sometimes, for me, if I had to answer that question, patience. You got to have some patience in this world.
Absolutely.
Even though we want things instantaneously, right? We got, the rice cooker. Just about every house has an Instant Pot, right?
Right.
Of course, now we got the microwave, and so we've been conditioned to get everything
Instantly.
ratchet down.
Right. Got to work a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you got to put a
gotta
little
work,
sweat and tears.
Got to work, man.
And earn it instead of just it being given to you.
Anything worth something
automatically.
is worth working for.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and this conversation is great. Just kind of your vision or your perspective of NCS and how it has influenced you. So here's my last question, and then we'll move on and talk about, Sean Jackson after NCS.
Right.
So here's my last question. How would you say, and you might have touched on this a little bit, how would you say NCS shaped who you are as a man, as a leader, as a coach?
just the fundamentals. Again, we'll go back to treat others the way you want to be treated, be a servant. Again, you want to be receptive to any knowledge that is given to you from an older person that's been there. Take that and run with that. I've done that. I'm not quick to say I know everything. If there's something that I don't know or I'm kind of questioning it, I'll go back and do my own research. But again, I was brought up, if an older person told you the sky was red and you looked up and said, no, it's not, it's blue. Well, we're not supposed to say that.
Right.
If the person told us that it was red, sky is red, then you got to agree with that because they're telling you, okay? But nowadays, you got to go through the whole thing about, well, let me challenge her. It's red for a reason.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, it may not be red to you, but there's a reason why they're saying this to us. And I've always taken from older generations that whatever they're telling us, there's something underlined that could be used that we can use for our everyday life. I don't think they, when I was growing up, anybody that was the elder, they would say stuff and it didn't resonate till as I started to live.
Yeah.
Then I understood some of the things, some of the sayings that they were saying. Like, wow.
Got you. Okay, let's close up this part of the discussion of the podcast. Just want to give you some rapid fire questions. Okay, you ready?
Sure, let's go.
All right. Question 1. We'll do like 5 questions.
Okay.
Favorite principal?
John Green.
John Green.
Yeah, Miss Brown was second.
Okay, Miss Brown. Yes, Miss Brown. Absolutely.
We'll go second. I'll give it to John Green for sure.
Okay, John Green. Yeah. Okay. Favorite teacher?
Miss Rhodes.
Miss Rhodes.
Yeah.
Okay, and you did speak of her. Now, do you remember some of your other teachers?
Yeah, of course. Miss Prescott,
Yep.
Miss Rhodes, Miss Sheffy. I'm trying to think.
Did we have Miss Lawrence? Do you remember Miss Lawrence?
Yeah, I do. We did.
Did we have her for a little bit?
We did.
Okay.
We did.
I think we had Miss Lawrence, Miss Sheffy, or maybe I'm mixing everyone all up. But I do remember Miss Lawrence and Miss Ross,
Right.
Miss Sheffy, and Miss Prescott, indeed.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Favorite activity at NCS?
Oh, sports guy.
Sports guy.
Yeah, so we run. Of course, we used to run that parking lot back to the gate and back to the wall. You remember that, right? You were racing. So anything sports wise, I gravitated to that. Of course, music was another thing that was something that was instilled and I gravitated to. So those are definitely the two things that I would say. But definitely sports was probably the number one.
Sports is very important.
Oh yeah. Sports
Okay.
most definitely.
And I just had one. See, I'm getting up there too, Sean. I'm getting up there too, man.
It's okay. It's okay.
I got it. Okay. Favorite Bible verse?
It's a couple. Philippians 4:13, of course, that's a classic. But again, my thing, I'll go back to John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son. Again, that's being not selfish. And that I take that again and run with that because He gave up His Son for us. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest gift that we could ever be given. Again, you know.
Okay. And last question. Favorite, we're going to just narrow it down. Best friend at NCS?
Best friend. Well, I had a couple, man, yourself included. But I would have to say you and John Green for sure. Because I didn't do nothing with everybody else after we left.
Yeah.
Well, there was a couple that went to the next school that we went to. We had a group that went to that school. But as far as outside, as far as keeping in contact after we left school, was you and Jay for sure. Yeah.
And Leela, you got to add Leela too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Most definitely. Can't forget Leela, but you two for sure, man. Definitely.
So check this out, man. We're going to leave this conversation. So don't want to show that one right now, but I think that's you right there up front. You know, it's probably going to pop up on your phone in a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
But I think this is you.
Is it me?
Wearing a suit.
Yep, that is me.
Let me see. Let me see if I can zoom in.
That's graduation.
Yeah.
That's graduation.
I think that's you.
It is me.
And matter of fact,
That's
look,
me.
see, I see.
That is
So
me.
John Green, I see his sister.
There's Lorna.
Yeah, Lorna right there.
Right.
I see Leela right here.
Michael Bryant.
Michael Bryant.
Yes.
That's Coretta.
Right.
And I don't know.
Is that you coming behind?
I don't know. I think that might be Tony Black.
Okay.
I mean Tony Boyd.
Tony Boyd. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, it was a packed day.
Right. You see that?
You know, I see. So the church where I'm at now,
Iconic.
where I'm serving at right now, the guy over here on the left side with the glasses, he's sitting on the aisle. His name is John Clemens.
Okay.
He's now, you know, gone on, but he was the minister at the church, you know, where I'm attending right now.
Right.
So,
right. Wow.
So yeah, man, just, you know, I can't make out any other faces.
Right.
Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit more. I can't make out any other faces except for the folks who we called out.
Right.
But yeah, that was our 1980
That was the graduation, man.
graduation back in the day. And it used to be a big thing on Wednesday night. They would shut down Wednesday night Bible study
Yep.
and have the graduation in the auditorium for
Right.
the NCS graduates.
Right.
So there it is. All right, man. So we can put we kind of close that chapter, but not really, because
Right.
NCS is still, close and dear to our hearts. So in between time, middle school. Now, what middle school did you go to after you attended NCS?
We went to, at the time it was called San Fernando Valley Christian. So again, we went from Normandie Christian
Yeah.
to another Christian institution.
Okay. So your parents kept it consistent.
Absolutely, they was pretty solid when it came to that. They were stuck on that. So middle school, we were there. So that was a conjunction of middle school and high school together.
Yeah.
But then when we got to high school, then we'd had an opportunity to make a decision at that time to if you wanted to go to a public school or you wanted to stay at the school that we were currently at. And
Now you went to San Fernando, right?
No, I went to I went to that school. That ended up being California Christian.
Okay, got
Yeah.
you. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I changed over to California Christian.
So you went Christian school
all the way through.
all the way through from kinder
to 12th grade.
to 12th grade.
You never hear that. That's rare.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, so do you feel that NCS, provided a great opportunity and foundation for you as you matriculated through middle school and high school?
Absolutely. My foundation was there. Normandie Christian was the foundation, because when we went to San Fernando Valley Christian, then that became more diverse. Because, Normandie Christian is us.
Yeah.
All us. There, it's not. It was not. It was a sprinkle of us. And some of the people that were at NCS came over. I'll give you some names. The Carters.
Yeah.
Lakeisha and Lamont went there.
Okay.
Andrew Dixon,
Okay.
rest his soul.
Okay.
He was one of them.
Okay.
John Emerson was another one.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. I'm sure I'm missing someone.
So quite a few folks who attended NCS, were, for whatever reason, parents lived out there, but they found their way out to San Fernando Valley
I
Christian.
want to say the Carters were commuting back and forth.
Okay.
They did our number.
Okay.
So
And
we kind of flipped the script on.
Sure.
The
And then
commuting thing.
not only you, but your brother. We haven't mentioned your younger brother, Todd.
Yes,
Shout out to
sir.
Todd. I
That's
think
my
he
guy.
might be watching, or he might be watching sometime in the future.
Right.
Shout out to you.
Yes, sir.
How did that impact, not only you, but do you believe, again, NCS, and I don't want you to speak for your brother, but do you think, based on his experience, do you think that NCS was an impactful institution for him as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely it was. And that's where the foundation was laid, pretty much.
Got you.
At Normandy. So, yeah.
Got you.
I can speak for him on that one.
Okay.
For sure.
I know Darren El Presidente connected with him
Yes.
prior to
Yeah.
our pre-show
Right.
meet and greet,
Right.
As we were going through tech rehearsals and whatnot. So
Right.
so that was a good thing. And those, the good thing about NCS is that those bonds are still there.
Right.
Like, once I left NCS, I believe. Jay, I think he went to a school out in the valley.
He went to Reseda.
And so there would be some times that I would see him like on the bus, because mom didn't drive, but they had a permit with transportation.
Of course.
So and that was their way. That was the '80s integration, of kids from the city being bussed out to different areas.
Right.
I went to the San Fernando Valley, so did Jay.
Right.
I think he went to Portola as a middle school.
Yeah.
I went to Hughes. No, I went to Porter
Okay.
for 1 year.
Right.
And then I went to Hughes Junior High. Back in the day, it was called Junior High.
Right.
And then I matriculated to El Camino Real. He matriculated over to Reseda. So
High School, yeah.
sometimes I would, see him either on the bus as he's going out there, or, we would come in contact with one another.
Of course.
So let's we don't want to make it about me, but we want to
let's make it about
talk
you.
about you, man.
You make it about you, man.
We're going to make it about us. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So high school, man, I know, there was a, big transition. Folks didn't see everyone as often, but, we did hang out from time to time during high school. Like I said earlier, you would come by and scoop me up in the white Mustang. We
You
would
remember
hang.
that? That's so funny. You remember that? Yeah.
Man, I do.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
So we come out and hang out, spend a couple of days, a weekend,
Come to the valley. Come to the valley.
Go to the valley, burn the streets with Sean and Todd.
Right.
Todd Simpson.
Right. Remember? Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Right?
Absolutely.
So what was your experience like after high school? Because I know, I definitely want to talk about you coaching. So what did you do in between NCS high school and, become a high school coach? Now, I know you have a son.
Right.
So you're a father.
Right.
And then you're also married as well. So just kind of walk us through, maybe college. What was college like for you? And did you use some of the knowledge that you had gained at NCS as you continue to progress and be the young man that you were back in the day?
So after high school, I went to college for 2 years, Cal State Northridge.
Go Matadors.
In the Matadors, absolutely. I went there for 2 years, tried out for the baseball team. Didn't make it, unfortunately. And then I just felt that something was missing. So I actually went out and started working. I was like, school is not really for me at this present time. But I had some other things that I had in the back burner. So with that being said, my thing was, again, when we wrote on our thing, what do you want to do when you get older? What are your major things? And it was always football and music was the two big things for me. So music was the thing that I gravitated to outside of, after I got out of high school. I was able to meet some guys, and it was just kind of I guess it was one of those things that just was meant to happen. I met a couple of guys, and we, started hanging out and found out that they came down here from Boston, and we just kind of started talking, and we had a lot of things in common as far as music and things of that nature. And then they told me that they were in a singing group. And I said, really? And they said, well, yeah. I said, well, I sang in middle school and high school and elementary.
Bust a tune right now.
Yeah, right. I can still hold a note, you know what I mean? I can still hold a note. But, so the singing thing was the thing that kind of got us together. Mm-hmm. So we started talking, and eventually it came out that they were in a group. They had just kind of dispersed, and they were trying to work on some other things.
Come on, man, spill the beans.
Yeah, I'm going to spill it right now.
Who's this group?
So the group ended up being New Edition.
Okay.
So what ended up happening with that was I connected with them. We did a lot of stuff on tour with them. Just got in the music industry through them.
Okay.
Of course, if you look at the show that they did about the
biopic.
Yeah, the bio. Brooke Payne was our guy. He was. We worked with him. We worked for him, and just kind of did everything through him. And it was an experience that again. Again, let's go back to NCS, and being grounded, because as you well know, if you don't know, the music industry is very, very, very grimy.
Oh, crazy. It's crazy.
And if you're not grounded,
yeah,
you can get caught up in a lot of things that are not conducive to a good lifestyle.
Sure.
But thank God that I was, again, grounded, man. Church.
Won't he do it?
Yeah, church, he do it. Yeah, church. So that never really was anything that never enticed me to do anything bad. But again, being around the industry, seeing the good and the bad, I've seen a lot of bad. But that was another experience that I cherished because I was able to travel a little bit and see some things and meet some people and work with some people that are prominent. We did, after New Edition, it was Boyz II Men, Keith Sweat. It was the whole thing. We did the Triple Threat Tour. It's the whole thing. We're around all of that. Even to the point where I got my folks involved with that as far as they would cater all of their functions, their video shoots and everything like that. So that was the time, that was a good time doing that.
You didn't have any responsibility. You were trying to figure it out as a young man. No kids.
None of that. I was able to bounce around and kind of enjoy that part of it. And that was a major experience that I cherish. And to this day, I still have relationships with all of them. Wow. To this day. So that's a good thing.
Got you. So when they perform at the at SoFi, because I think they're supposed to be doing a show sometime soon out here.
Yes.
I'm not too sure.
Yes.
You know what? I've never been to a New Edition. I'm not a big concert goer.
Right.
But I think, I'm at the point in my life where, going to see a couple of people every now and again.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
Yeah.
Right? And so when Prince was alive, we went to the Forum when he did all those nights at the Forum because, for us, we could just walk down the street.
Right.
Have to worry about parking.
Right.
And the tickets were nicely priced. Right. So now, I'm thinking there's a new tour with Brandy and Monica.
Yes, that should be interesting. Yeah, that should be really interesting.
It should be interesting. So not that I'm a big concert goer, but just because I've never seen either one of them perform live.
Well, that story is, let me piggyback on that story real quick. Well,
Go for it.
Sonia and Ray, the mom and dad, used to live with us.
Okay.
Brandy was basically conceived at the house. Brandy was there for, I think they moved out when Brandy was 6-7 months.
Okay.
They moved out, but they stayed with us. So I'm connected with the Norwoods as well as,
Okay.
Again, it's the music thing again.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
But yeah.
Wow.
Concerts are different, man. I would highly recommend you get a seat.
Yeah.
And not do the backstage thing because the backstage thing is really not what it.
No,
not what it's all cracked out to be.
Yeah, I'm never one of those guys who are, I gotta, get, the VIP access. No, I just want to go and
get a good seat and enjoy the show.
Just check it out, especially because I'm a neighbor to the SoFi. Like the Weeknd was here this past weekend.
Right, he's there. Exactly.
We heard the Weeknd all 4 days.
Right.
Like he was loud.
Right.
But just being in the room to witness, now. I might not, I'm not going to be a fanboy and be like, right. But just be able to, check it out.
Right.
They're two cool people in the industry.
Right.
So, as I, matriculate and become a little bit older, I might want to see some of these legendary acts.
Yeah, you want to see the legendary ones and not the youngsters, so you don't have to deal with all the ruckus, of course. So.
Even though I'm kicking myself because I really should have went to the Kendrick and SZA concert. Just because.
Right.
Because I can vibe with him a little bit.
Right. We're not too far away. I'm connected. I have to be. I have no choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the kids at school and my son, I mean,
sure.
There's no way I have to be.
Sure.
Connected.
So let's kind of transition and talk about being a dad.
Okay.
I
started late, man.
Okay.
Started late.
Okay. How old is your son?
My son is 16 years old.
No, you ain't start late.
I start late.
No, because I have 4. I mean, well, because I guess so. Because
you're an empty nester now, man. They're
I told you. I keep telling you.
Right.
I keep telling folks, and I'm gonna have to. This is gonna be a shirtable phrase.
Right.
It's not an empty nest until the kids get their own address.
That's even rhymes too, man.
Right.
That rhymes.
It kind of does.
It does.
But hopefully, I'll have to refer back to this broadcast to memorize it.
Yeah.
But no, so I have one son.
Okay.
He has his own address for now.
Right.
And knowing him, he's not going to really try to come back unless something, emergency kind of situation.
Dramatic.
happens.
Yeah, of course. course.
Right. So now, my oldest one, he's with us. Actually, the other 3 are with us because it's summertime.
Of course.
But, 2 are leaving in
Enjoy
the
'em.
fall.
Right.
1 is staying here. He's working on his master's. And so as long as you're doing something,
Right.
I'm good.
You can be productive
But
in
if,
the house.
you just, just twiddling your thumbs, that
was the rule.
Yeah.
We were able to stay home, but
Yeah.
you got to do a couple. You either go
You
to school
gotta do something.
or you got to go to work.
Yeah. So,
You
for me, empty nest, you got to be working towards something. You got to have your own address.
Right,
So
right,
I look forward to that day.
Right.
But I get what you're saying. You starting, because my oldest is 24.
Right.
24, 22. I'm going to have a 20-year-old in a couple of days.
Right. See, look
And
at
then
you.
I'm going to have 18-year-old in next month. So I got you.
I was late starter, man. 40 years old.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah.
40, man.
I'll take that back,
40,
yes.
man. I was late.
Yeah.
But I was able to do everything that I needed to do.
Absolutely.
So now I can focus pretty much on being with him, and he's a joy, and he's an athlete, of course. And
Okay.
got to be with me around. So great athlete, man, great kid, and I'm not saying it because he's my son, but he's a great kid. And
Now,
he's brought up-
what sport, or does he engage in
man,
sports?
he's basketball.
Basketball, okay.
But me, I'm football at heart, but he's a basketball guy. His uncle is the basketball guru of the family.
Okay.
He's gravitated to basketball. I want him to play football. He's a great athlete. He
Sure.
could be a dynamic football player. But,
Okay.
we've had that conversation, but I told him, I said, you can play football. If you decide you want to play football, then you have to let me be your coach.
Right.
So again, he's in the Inland Empire. So he wanted to play. He called me. He said, I think I want to play. I said, well, you know what that means?
Yeah.
You have to come with me.
Yeah, you got to
Come
get in
with
shape.
Pops.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now, what position in football do you think he would play?
He would be running back or linebacker. He's built like that. He's nice.
Kind of a little stocky.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
He's a gym rat.
Okay.
So everybody says, when I take him to trainings and stuff, they're like, he don't play football. I'm like, no, man, like this kid could play. I said, yeah, he's heard it already, but
Right.
he wants to do basketball, and I'm not going to sway him.
Yeah.
He's very good at that. So I'll let him stay. But if it was my choice, I'll have him do multiple things. You know
Sure.
what I mean? So
Yeah.
he needs to know. He doesn't know what he's really good at.
Yeah.
So
And that's a good thing. So like my second son, he's always telling me, Dad, you should have had me play baseball.
Right,
Well,
right.
one reason I didn't is because when my oldest son played, we started trying to get him in T-ball. We wanted to expose all the kids to everything.
Of course.
Right. And so I remember, we did T-ball, got the uniform, and, practicing a couple of times a week or whatever. Played, I think the first game, I think he hit the ball off the tee, but he ran, instead of down first base, he ran down third base.
Of course.
And then, we
It's
just,
classic.
but I was just like, you know what? But also, son number 2, he really loved football.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't have the foresight to say, hey, son, do you want to try something else? So it was football and basketball. He never did play baseball, try baseball. So, the running joke is like, Dad, why you didn't put me in baseball? I would have. I'm like, I'm sorry, son. I'm sorry, son. But you're 20. You're 22 now. So
Right.
can we move
That
past
dream,
it?
that's
Can we get over
yeah,
it?
that's over.
Yeah.
That window's closed.
Window is closed. And actually, that's son number 2 who has his own address. So
Right.
it's all good.
Right.
Okay, so your dad, 16-year-old,
Yes.
you're good. You said you started late.
Right.
And I if I remember correctly, you're married, right? You got
Yes.
a ring on the finger?
I do.
Now, how was that experience as it relates to some of the foundations that, again, going back to Normandy, some of the foundations that you learned? How does that kind of function or, intertwine itself in the marriage?
Again, it's God structured, of course. That's the center of the marriage. And again, those lessons learned from NCS. But again, the greatest lesson was watching my folks. 60 years of marriage. I mean, that's where it lies. So of course, like anything, it has its ups and downs.
Yeah.
But you just got to be willing to, get through it. You know what I mean, and see where you end up. But I'm good, and she's good, and everybody's good. So we'll move.
Got you.
We're moving right now, moving along.
Yeah, and I think you said you have a blended family kind of situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I'm not with the mom or the son, but they're together. The mom and the wife, they're good. They're good friends. So
Got you.
That makes it easy. You rarely get that, and I'm thankful. I'm thankful for that. So no drama at all. So that's a great thing.
So co-parenting with your son's mom, it's a little bit different, but you guys are making it. It's working.
Absolutely,
it's working because I think I heard you say something like now because it's dead period for you, meaning football. There's no football going on right now.
3 weeks.
He's coming to hang out with you, and so it's not dead time. It's me time. Meaning you hanging out with your son.
Right. And so he's got the center of attention right now. So
absolutely,
he got some things that we have to take care of.
Yeah.
And he's in training, and of course, so there's no dead period for me. I have to keep it moving.
No, you got you.
No,
you
right?
got you.
I thought I'd get a break, but no break.
Absolutely,
and I'm okay with that.
Yes. Of course, because life goes on, and we have to continue to evolve as young. You as a dad, as a husband,
right?
The father of a 16-year-old who's into sports, and probably looking to get a driver's permit pretty soon, and dating and all that other kind of stuff.
Good stuff.
Looking forward to college in a couple of years.
Right.
Definitely high school graduation.
Absolutely.
Whatever that means for him. So you have to be there.
Very smart kid too. I don't have to worry about
Absolutely.
book wise.
Now, if you don't mind, what's his name?
Sean.
Oh. Sean Jr.?
Sean Jr.
Okay, so shout out to Sean Jr., man. Keep on doing your thing. And
he's definitely a junior because I couldn't deny him if I wanted to.
Continue to make your dad proud.
Right.
So that's good. That's good. Good conversation. Okay, so let's go ahead. Fast forward a few decades from NCS.
All right.
Now you're pouring into the lives of young people.
Right.
Let's talk about your journey as a football coach, right? And the work that you're doing at Verdugo Hills.
Right. Okay.
Now, that's where you are now. But, briefly, tell us, what was your inspiration into coaching football? I always knew that you loved football back in the day. And I'm trying to remember. Let me see if I can guess your favorite. I want to say did you have an affinity for the Chargers?
No.
Raiders?
Never.
Rams?
You probably would never guess.
Dude, okay. Because I my affinity with, my football team, the Cowboys, was those pencils.
God bless your soul.
Was those pencils. You remember the NFL pencils back in the day?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me see. I'm going to get one more guess.
Okay.
The Patriots?
Nope.
Okay, go ahead.
Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, shut the front door.
Yeah. Black and gold, black and yellow.
Okay, black and yellow. Okay.
Yeah, man. Lynn Swan, John Stallworth.
Okay.
Mean Joe Green.
Absolutely. Here's a fun fact.
Go ahead.
The son who moved out.
Right.
He's walking distance from.
Yeah, Heinz.
I forget the name of the stadium.
Heinz Field.
Actually, it's not Heinz Field anymore.
It's not Heinz no more? What is it called?
I forgot when I was there a couple of months ago.
They changed the name. They always change the names, yeah.
But, beautiful city.
Right.
But the sports complex, the baseball field, super dope. But, yeah, they're all right there together. He can kind of walk. Plus, I don't know if I told you, he loves Pittsburgh. He loves the Steelers as well.
Good man.
So he's
good man. He's a good man.
He's loving life right about now. But enough about me and him.
Right. No.
So the Steelers. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So go ahead and how did you get into coaching football?
So after the music thing was over, it was time to make a transition to what are you going to do now?
Yeah.
What are you going to do now? So that was something that I always had a knack for as far as coaching. So I was, my brother was doing triple threat. He was doing a basketball camp. So there was a guy that he had basically who kind of funded the whole thing. He was at Calabasas High School. So he was asking my brother, he was impressed that my brother was a coach and whatever. He said, do you know anybody that, coach football? My brother was like, yeah, my brother, yeah, he did football, man. He was legit. He might be interested. So we connected, and my first gig was at Calabasas High School.
Okay.
I coached there for 1 year, and then from Calabasas, it trickled down to, at the time I was at Calabasas, do Pop Warner. right? So it was the Calabasas Raiders at the time too. So I was kind of doing, and that was because of recruiting situations.
Sure.
As you being a parent, you should, you know about that. So doing the Pop Warner was kind of shuttling guys to the Calabasas High School thing. But in between all of that, the person that was running the Calabasas Raiders had his kids at Chaminade.
Okay.
So this is how Chaminade came into play. So the president of the Pop Warner team came to me and said, "Why are you still here at Calabasas?" I was only there for 1 year. He says, "You're way too knowledgeable and too good." He says, "So let me tell you something." He goes, "My kids are at Chaminade. It's a private school. They're in the process of getting a new head coach. Again, being a private school, the boosters have put in a couple $1 million into the football program. They wanted to revamp it, everything. Why don't you take an interview and look at that?" So I was like, okay, cool, because I wasn't really happy at Calabasas. It was like, okay, they don't do things the way I think they should, so let me go look. So I went and took a look at that and talked to the head coach. Of course, we hit it off. So I was at Chaminade from 2000 to 2007.
Oh, wow.
So I was there for 7 years. So after that stint was over with, of course, you get to a point where it's time to make a move.
Yeah.
So we were all leaving. It was just kind of ironic that everybody on the staff was branching out to become head coaches.
Made the mass exodus.
Right. So everybody was getting opportunities to become a head coach.
Sure.
So an opportunity came to my way. So I had a person that I had grew up with too. He was coaching at Birmingham, and that came about, and they were like, "Well, come over here to Birmingham with us." And then the head coach, which I coached his son at the Calabasas Raiders, said, "Well, we can't pay you as much as Chaminade, so I'm sure you would never take that jump." So another friend of theirs, mutual friend, said, "Hey, I got a new program that's coming up. I don't have a coach. I'm looking for a coach." And they said, "Well, we may have a guy that you may be interested in." He said, "I'm doing the interview process, but the people that are interviewing for this thing is not what I'm looking for." So I go and I said, "Let me take a look," because at that time we're just in the middle of a transition from Chaminade. I was like, "Okay, well, let me find out something." So once I knew my head coach was leaving from Chaminade, I was like, "Well, I don't want to work for nobody else because I've been with you for 7 years.
Sure.
You're leaving. So let me start looking." That happened to come up. We hit it off. It was a marriage. I left Chaminade and started the program at Fulton Prep, which is in Van Nuys, small school. And went on, and it was at Fulton Prep for 8 years.
Okay.
Won 5 city championships. That's where I did most of my damage.
Yeah.
That's where my name got surfaced.
Begin to get out there.
That's when my name got out there.
Now,
Everybody kind of knew.
Was that 8-man or 11-man?
It was both.
Okay.
It was both. So we started off 8-man, then we progressed to 11.
Okay.
And I was able to win 5. So after we got to the three-peat, we had three-peated. So it was like, okay, are you going to go to do 4 in a row? I had the same group of kids coming back.
Sure.
It just wasn't a challenge for me because, again, from southern section to city section is a big difference.
It's a big difference. And we're going to talk about that too.
Yeah, it's a humongous difference. So me coaching southern section style in the city section was just it wasn't fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to just be honest with you, not toot my own horn because I'm just not that guy. It wasn't fair. And then it became not being a challenge. It was a challenge because I was winning. It was fun. But afterwards, it was like, okay, this is getting boring because you guys don't know what you're doing. And we're just running circles around you, even though the teams that we did play had better athletes, way better athletes. They had us. I wasn't able to get – I had a few of us, but mostly Hispanic kids.
Gotcha.
And I used to tell coaches, man, if I had that group of kids, I would never lose a game. But, again, it was time to move. So Verdugo came about. One of my defensive coordinator was looking to get out. He said, "I'm going to go look at the school, and they got a defensive coordinator position up. I'm going to go look at it, and I'll tell you the end result. I'm going to let you know. I'm going to keep you abreast." I said, "No problem."
Sure.
My whole thing was if you see something, you go. I'm not never holding my coaches back.
Yeah, absolutely.
They all came with me from Chaminade, so they were already in tuned. So he goes to Verdugo. He interviews, and in the process of him interviewing, they told him, said, "No." He says, "We got a defensive coordinator job open, but the head coaching job is open as well." He says, "Really?" He says, I got the perfect guy for you guys. So he said, so they said, well, put us in contact. He calls me and says, are you interested? I said, yeah, why not? Let me take a look. So, of course, they did the interview process, too, with a whole bunch of people. And, again, I ended up landing at Verdugo. And I've been there. This is going to be year number 10. So year number 3, I led them to the championship. My 3rd year there, we did lose in the championship game, but they hadn't been in the championship since 1978.
Wow,
I believe. Yeah.
Now, what level? Because I know there, with LAUSD,
right.
There's different levels. There's
right.
the Open. There's Division 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
I don't know how far it goes down.
It goes down to 3 is the low 3, and then 8 men.
Okay.
So really 4 divisions. That division was Division. I want to say it was Division 3 that year that we went to the championship. It was Division 3 because they had no tradition, so they was
sure
piggybacking back and forth in 3. But now the way it's set up now is they wait till the season's over with,
and then they place you.
Yeah. Which is not fair because if you happen to have a cream puff schedule, and you walk through everybody, and then they say, okay, well you're 10-0. You happen to have a good year. You went through your league. You're 10-0. Now you go to the Open and you end up playing schools like yours, Sons, Palisades, that are open that you have no business playing because of the size factor.
Yeah.
So that year was Division 3, and then from that point on, we've been Division 2 and 1 back and forth from that point on. But I am getting to the point in my life where there's got to be something else.
Yeah.
I love it there, but as far as football, all my friends call me. My friends, head coach at Sierra Canyon, they all call. Got guys at Chaminade that I know, Notre Dame. All the Southern Section schools, they call. Like, you still at Verdugo, man? Like, yeah, I'm still there. You're not ready to jump ship? No, I'm not, because what I don't want to do is when you go to a program that's already established, you can't come in. See, I don't have to be the head coach.
Yeah.
But I need to be a coordinator.
Absolutely.
I have to be offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. I got to have my hand in the mix some type of way.
Somehow, yeah.
Got to. I don't want to be a position coach, and there's no knock against position coaches. So if anybody out there that's coaching and you're a position coach, don't take that as a bad thing because you got to have position coaches to be successful. But that's just not me. I just know too much.
Absolutely.
And
hold on, Sean. Time out. Okay, because you giving some gems, but I want to put it in context. Okay, so I got you. So I got a couple, and I know we're going a little bit over time, but I think this is valuable information. Because maybe someone is out there looking to be a coach, and kind of want to know some of the ins and outs, especially if now, unless you know somebody, because I know part of football, up and down from whatever level, part of it is you got to know somebody.
Who you know.
It's who you know,
and
right?
Most importantly, though, is what you know.
It's what you know, right? Yeah. And so, there are tons of guys, players, who have phenomenal talent, but they might not be at the school that's going to give them the shine to get to the next level. Right. So anyway, I don't want. Anyway, part of football is who you know. Right. So here's a couple of questions that we'll, kind of go through, and then we'll finish up the podcast.
Absolutely,
okay?
Absolutely.
And it kind of, I frame these questions around what you do and how you've kind of made yourself into the coach that you are. Right. So here's the first one. What's it like coaching in the LAUSD system? Okay, because Verdugo Hills is a part of the larger school, the second largest school district in the country, in the USA, right? And so, and then you talked about Southern section and City section. Southern section is all the other schools that are outside of
LAUSD.
the LAUSD school district, right? So, there's a whole bunch of different counties. You got Los Angeles County, and that's big.
Right.
But within LA County, because you have Southern section schools, and you also have the city schools. Right. Okay, so we kind of, going from the micro to the macro. I think I'm saying that right? So we're going from the top all the way and kind of narrowing it down for those who are watching. Right. So LAUSD, second largest school district in the nation, but there are tons of schools. So here's my question. Let me get back to it. What's it like coaching in the LAUSD system, especially when trying to build and maintain a strong program, especially when you talked about the different athletes who are coming across, especially in your neighborhood?
Right.
What's it like trying to get through, the adversity that you're facing with the guys that you have playing? And then I have a second question a follow-up question after you answer that.
Okay. I'm going to make this as simple as possible, how I label this. LAUSD schools have kids that play football, okay? They have kids that play football. Southern section has football players.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. You playing football or are you a football player?
Yeah.
So I have kids that play football.
Yeah.
Now, I've been fortunate to have a good group. Every so often I'll get a good group that we make a nice little run. We'll get to the championship and semifinals. But I don't have kids that are totally invested, and it's not their fault more so than parental support. You go to a Southern section school, the parents got their set up with the cameras. They got if you know, you know. If you know, you know. And you got personal trainers.
Yeah.
The parents sometimes are more vested than the kids.
Yeah.
Seems like to me in Southern section that the parents are living through the kids.
Yeah.
So you get that, and that's the biggest thing. So the kids that we get at Verdugo are normally not what we call 5 stars.
Yeah.
We'll be lucky to get a 3-star.
Yeah.
Okay, because if they're 4 and 5, they're going to a private school.
Yeah.
Reason why they're going to a private school is because they do outside activity, which is 707s, and that's where the people get plucked at. 707. So that's the biggest difference. Culture-wise, it's the same. It's the commitment thing. Football doesn't evolve. They're not the center of their attention. So they're going to miss practice because that's not it for them.
Yeah.
So my thing that I tell kids is all the time I say, interest, effort reflects interest. That's what I tell them. Effort reflects interest. So you're only going to give effort to things that you're interested in. So how many guys have video games? They raise their hand. How many hours do you spend? Oh, I spend hours. Okay, you spend hours. Great. So if you spend hours, don't get no sleep because you're playing Call of Duty and whatever. You're putting in effort. You know why you're putting in effort? Because that's something that you're interested in. Mm-hmm. So football is something that you're just doing, but you're not interested because you're not really giving me full effort. You're giving me some.
Yeah.
But you're not giving me what it takes to become champion.
Right.
So it's tough for me because I've won 8 rings. I have 8 rings, man. So winning is, some people are okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm not. And we're at the crossroads right now. And some of my coaches have never experienced that.
Yeah.
And they're legit and they need to experience that. So again, they're one of those, they're the group that wherever you go, we go. So that's the difference, boss.
Got you. Okay. So and I love the analogy you got, either you got kids who play football or you got football players,
Right.
which is so true.
Right.
Now, there are guys who are, on those Southern section teams who, just play football as well because, it's the popularity.
Right.
But
The area that they
the
live in.
majority
Right.
of them folks, a lot of them,
Want to play on Saturdays and possibly
they
Sundays.
want to play
on Saturdays.
On Saturdays.
And
It's-
possibly on Sunday.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, so question number 2.
Sure.
With so many students transferring for football reasons, how do you keep your homegrown program appealing to the students in your community?
First thing and foremost is that we not only do football, is that we have what we call, I like to call it fun ball.
Fun ball.
Fun ball, because again, you're there practicing every single day.
Yeah.
but you got to have some fun to it.
Yeah.
You're still kids.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not. I'm not a drill sergeant. It's like you gotta come and you gotta come, and then you reap nothing. So it's big for us to do things like we just did a beach day before we went on dead period.
I saw that. I saw that on your IG on Saturday.
Yes, we was at Dockweiler on Friday, and we had practice at the beach, and afterwards we stayed late. We did the marshmallow in the pit and the whole nine, and it was a fun thing. The parents came in, they fed them. That's something that we do that's fun.
Yeah.
Now we come back in July, so we have another outing that we're going to do with them before we go back to school, which is the Raging Water Trip. So we do stuff like that. So we want to make it where they come to practice and they don't know what they're going to get when they come to practice, because I don't tell them the dates that we're doing things.
Yeah.
So they have to come to practice to find out they're going somewhere.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Because if you don't come to practice, you could miss out going to the beach.
Yeah.
Or Raging Waters.
All the extra stuff.
Or the Dallas Cowboy training camp.
There you go.
That we do every year.
Okay. Y'all going this year?
Every year.
You going?
Every year.
All right, let me know, because
every year.
I
Too
need
bad
to
it's
go.
not the Pittsburgh Steelers, but I have to deal with the Cowboys. That's fine.
Hey, football is football.
Exactly.
That's it. That's
exactly.
it. Absolutely.
So I don't get caught up in that, and that's the big thing for me.
Yeah.
I go there because I want to see football.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. All right, but no, for real, on the serious, let me know.
Oh, yeah.
All right, because for the past 2 years,
Every year, man.
I've been saying
Oxnard. That's every year.
Yes,
No brainer.
Absolutely,
Every year.
My wife knows me. Like, look, babe, I'm going to Oxnard. She's like, all right.
Yeah, we do it every year. I do it the Rams now because the Rams are right here in Woodland Hills now.
True.
So they're closer.
Yeah, a lot closer.
Right, and then the Chargers are here in Irvine.
Yeah.
So
the Chargers are
they by
in
you?
El Segundo.
Okay, so they're even closer.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, they got a nice brand new facility.
Right.
Okay. Question 3.
Okay.
What is the toughest part about fielding a full and committed team each year? Or do you even experience that?
I do. And you just the key word you just said is committed.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing is the commitment. Talent is there. We got talent. We have talent every year. But if you don't put in the time, you're not going to get rewarded. I tell them, I use work as a good analogy. You don't go to work every single day, your paycheck is going to be short.
Absolutely.
It's going to be short.
And who wants a short paycheck?
Well, they don't understand that yet. You don't understand that yet. But you and I understand that. You know what I mean?
I need all my coins.
How much sick time can you use?
Run me my coins.
Thank you. You're right. So if you don't put the time in, you're not going to get rewarded for the time you put in.
Absolutely.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen.
All right. A few more, man.
Okay.
So, how do you balance coaching for wins with coaching for life? Helping kids grow, into men of character.
That's first and foremost. First and foremost is character, man, because at the end of the day, we're developing young men.
Yeah.
That's going to be able to go in society and be productive.
Okay.
So with that being said, there's responsibility that they have to earn.
Sure.
And they have to start to exemplify. Accountability is another one that they have to exemplify. You got to be accountable.
Yeah.
Because my thing that I tell my guys is your actions that you do reflect everybody else that's around here. And I said, I'll give you an example. Okay? And they said, well, it's me. It's only me. I said, no. Listen to this. You're a starter. You're my starting quarterback. You decided you want to go hang out after the football game and get drunk. They find out, I have to suspend you. Your actions that you just did, now it affects all of us. It affects me as a coach, because now I got to find another quarterback. It affects the kid that has to play your spot, the backup, right? So, again, it's not just about you. So when you go make decisions, remember decisions that you make will affect the people that are around you.
Yeah.
And that's in life in general. So anything that we do, okay, will affect, it's not just going to affect me, James. It's going to affect my mom, my wife, my son, my brother. I can go down the list. My job,
Yeah.
my coworkers.
Yeah.
It affects everybody that's in the circle that you're dealing with. So that's the biggest thing for me is that accountability You gotta be accountable. That's more so than anything. We talk about that. Everything else is going to fall into place about being prompt,
Sure,
being on time. All that stuff is going to help you out when you get a job. So that's first and foremost before X's and O's come into play. X's and O's is like the bonus of that.
Yeah, because you're building responsibility.
Absolutely.
If they can show up for practice on time at 3 o'clock,
everything else is going to happen.
and bring their equipment, then you're building up life skills because later on when they're not playing football, because to your point, you got guys who are playing football.
Right.
So most likely they might not advance to the next level. They just want to be part of the scene, right?
No.
And so if they learn how to show up on time to practice, bring their equipment, be respectful, some of these things that you're teaching them, then when they get out of high school, they already know, okay, I've showed up on time for practice. I've brought my gear. I was prepared. Right? And so they'll have those life skills already embedded, and not only from your point of view, but I'm hoping that the adults in the school at Verdugo Hills, they're pouring into the same, doing the same thing, pouring into their lives in the same way that you are. So it's
a real quick note, man. I had a kid 3 years ago.
Well, hold on.
Go ahead.
Because that's my next question.
Go ahead.
Literally.
Go ahead.
Can you share a story about a player who showed up, who showed major growth on or off the field?
Okay, perfect. That's perfect. Segue right into that, right?
Absolutely.
That's real good. So let's go to that one. So 3 years ago, I want to say 3 years, maybe 4. So we were looking for a kicker. I got soccer kids at Verdugo, and good soccer kids. So kid's a good athlete. Say, hey, man, you might kick this. Let me see you. So he kicks football, right? And never kicked the football. He's only kicking soccer balls. Booms the ball, right? I have 2 kids like that. So the one kid's like, oh, I want to do it too. So they both kicking, right? So one of them, of course, didn't want it. I mean, he felt that it wasn't for him. But the one kid that stayed, I told him. I said, hey, man, that's a gift. That's a gift. He said, what? I said, your foot is a gift. Do you understand? Like, I've been coaching for years, man. I've seen guys. I can't name them. I can name them, but you won't know. You'll know eventually. So I named off Kai Forbath. He played at Notre Dame when I was at Chaminade. I said, that kid has a boot. I knew when I saw that kid kick a JV game, I said, that kid's going to be in the NFL one day. Sure enough, he was in the NFL. To make a long story short, I said, you have a foot that can get you in the NFL. He said, you think so? I said, no, I know so. I said, so you might want to take this serious because this could take you far. So again, he was a great student. So grades were never an issue. So he did the schoolwork. So once he graduated last year from Verdugo, we tried to get a package together to kind of put it out there that, this is somebody you might want to have. So a lot of the schools that were interested scholarships were already taken. So they had to wait. So I said, okay, don't worry about it. I said, we'll just send you to COC, College of the Canyons. Of course, if you know COC, they get kids from Florida, everywhere. They're legit, right? So don't go to these local schools around here. Go to COC up in Valencia. You'll be good there. Send him up there. So he ended up being the offensive player of the year for his team. And then we talked a couple of weeks ago. I said, so what's your progress? Are you going to go? He said, I'll go there one more year. I said, no one's biting you right now? He said, I got a few. I said, I got a few guys. I got a few teams that are, schools that are biting. I said, okay. I said, but keep me posted of what your progress is. So anyway, I make a phone call, and I'm putting his name out there. Say, hey, man, go look at this kid. So one of my friends that knew a recruiter from Kansas State, saw him and said, whoa. I said, yeah, man, the guy's legit. He said, say less. Let me talk to him. Let me look at his grades. Did all the paperwork or whatever. Signed, offered him a scholarship, committed. He committed the other day to Kansas State. So he'll probably be the only kid that I coached at Verdugo that would probably end up. He'll make the NFL. Wow. He will make the NFL. I put my life on it.
That's what's up.
He will definitely be in the NFL kicking for somebody.
Okay.
And I said, hey, man, all I want to do is take the bags. Just let me hold the bag. Let me hold the bag. He said, "Oh, Coach, no." He said, "If it wasn't for you to steer me this way, this would never happen." I said, "I don't care about none of that.
Yeah.
I want you to do what you do and make that happen.
Absolutely.
Make that happen."
Yeah, I mean, because it's going to work out good for him if he, again, follows the foundation that you helped him, that you provided for him. And then, again, it's who you know.
Make that
So
exactly.
because you've been coaching for umpteen years,
Too many.
I'm sure you've made a lot of contacts up and down, different levels, D1, D2, D3, NAIA, whatever.
Right.
Maybe HBCUs, whatever.
Know 'em all.
So you know.
Know them all.
And,
So
your
anybody that's watching, you got nephews, you got grandkids.
Hey, I got a nephew.
Yeah, you got grandkids. They need some guidance. Hey,
but no, that's
see me.
That's what it's all about.
See
Because like you said, so now his focus is going to shift from a kid who's just playing football. He's going to actually develop has developed into a football player.
He's been to camps. He's been to all the prestigious kicking camps.
Which is different.
Yeah.
And because it's a specialty,
right,
a special position, right, you got to be extra good.
Right.
So, hats off to you, man. That's a wonderful way to kind of end up the conversation about, being a football coach, relating to the kids, giving them the foundation and allowing them to grow to be the best kid, whether they're going to be the kid playing football or a football player.
Yep, absolutely.
So, hats off to you and what you're doing right now with the kids at Verdugo Hills.
Thank you.
Okay, so as we wrap up, what keeps you motivated, Coach Sean? What keeps you motivated to do what you do? Now, here's another question as you think about that one. Do you only coach football? Is there another sport at Verdugo Hills? I thought I saw some clips for softball.
Absolutely.
But what else do you do at Verdugo?
I do softball too as well.
Okay.
So I got the girls. I don't discriminate. So I have girls as well. I won ring there at Verdugo softball 2 years ago. We won the championship in softball and was the runner-up in the state championship game.
Okay.
So I do softball as well there. So again, what motivates me more so is to have an impact on young individuals, whether it be male or female, positive impact. I'm a counselor on campus, so I get everybody kind of gravitates to Coach Jackson. So it's Coach Jackson. You can go to Verdugo and you can walk in on campus and say, "Do you know Coach Jackson?" Everybody's going to be like, "Yes, I do." Where can I find him? Well, he's around here somewhere. Yeah. But yeah, you won't be able to walk on campus and not. I could never hide from anybody at Verdugo if I wanted to, because the kids would be like, "He's over there."
No, that's super dope.
Yeah.
That's super dope. No, I've been checking you out from now and then. I'm like, he posted. He posted.
Yeah, I don't post.
I know
much.
you don't, but the other folks.
Yeah. So our football page posts is. My coaches do that. They run that part of it, so they post a lot. But I try not to.
Yeah, if you need some assistance, if you need some guidance,
I do.
because I'm over there apparently doing my thing. I do my thizzle.
I do. Tell Dylan I said what's up.
Dylan?
Yeah, Dylan. I would call him Dylan. It's Dylan. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll do. Now, we'll be chopping it up. I mean, I know it's the dead period for, high school sports to kind of chill out, relax.
Vacation time.
Vacation time.
Yeah.
Not, we shouldn't call it the dead period. We should call it vacation. Football vacation time.
Vacation time.
Yeah. So, once
recharge
the battery. So once the recharging is over, I'm sure we'll connect and we'll have conversations as well. So I definitely will tell him what you said. So
I need to get on your podcast.
Who, mine?
Yours.
Oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yours.
We can make that happen.
Yours.
Actually, I told you we're live on my page right now,
Well,
so
good. It's even better.
I might have to clip some of this out.
Combined it, right?
This might have to be a part 1 and part 2.
Right.
Because right now we're running at, let me tell you, an hour and 38 minutes.
Man, we've
been chopping it.
Yeah, man.
Man, we go back.
Yeah, it's one of those.
We go back.
Iconic.
Absolutely.
Iconic.
No, this is my dude. That's what I'm saying.
Iconic.
I didn't hang out with too many dudes outside, from elementary school besides Sean. I mean, there's some church ties as well.
Right.
And so, just being able to hang out, spend a night, up there with him, hang out, go to Hollywood and roll around on the Strip a little bit, or, not necessarily drag. What they call that? Oh man, not you just driving up and down the street.
Cruising.
Bam,
Yeah.
there we go.
We cruising.
Going to Tommy's.
Yeah, remember?
See?
You remember all those days, man.
And I bet you, if I had to find you, I could probably. I know where you live.
Of course you do.
Because you I know where you live. I'm not gonna say it, but
right.
I'm sure I can figure out my way to get up the hill to the cul-de-sac. Right.
And Mom will answer the door.
Absolutely. Man. And on a special note, condolences to the family about your dad.
Thank you.
Your dad.
Yeah. He passed away in March, man.
Passed away in March.
That was a tough one for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but we're gonna get through it.
Because I did see the social posts,
right?
But I didn't see I didn't see anything said Dad passed away or whatever.
Yeah, we try to keep that more so. Kind of in tight.
So I just inferred.
I told you the story.
Yeah.
Before we went
I just inferred that that's what happened, and then today you kind of confirmed it.
Right.
Shout out to Mr. Europe Jackson.
Right.
And everything that he did. Again, bringing you back and forth from the valley,
that
going
guy
to San Pedro.
I told him. No, he didn't hear it, but I told him. I said, man, job well done.
Absolutely.
Job well done.
Absolutely. And that's what we as fathers want our kids, our children, to get a glimpse. Take a little something from your own, for your own, so that when you're, umpteen years or whatever, you would have learned and be like, oh man, Dad was, back in the day, when you're going through it, you be like, oh, Dad get on my nerves.
Right.
Or my parents get on my nerves.
Right.
But, when you get like our age, and they begin to grow up and have their own kids.
You appreciate it, man.
Yeah. You want them to appreciate what you've done for them.
Appreciate your folks. If you got them, still appreciate them.
Absolutely.
Real quick, man, before we go.
Yeah.
Jay Green, man. I know you had a picture of us.
Oh,
together.
yeah, absolutely.
Just so everybody knows, man, and a lot of you guys know that, he was a part of the first 53 too.
Yes.
That was my dude, man.
Let me see if I can find him.
He passed away a few years ago. And, man, that we worked on this.
JG.
We worked on this album. The dude was a phenomenal singer. He started off when he was at school. For those who know him at Normandie, that dude was legit then, and just became even phenomenal as he grew up. And it was a blessing to be able to even work with him again. Like you just said, you and him were probably the only ones that I dealt with after we grew up and kept moving. And we worked with him on his music, on his solo projects.
Absolutely. No, that's super dope. Yeah, I forgot you sent me that question or that the image.
Right.
So yeah, JG, phenomenal singer back in the day.
Right. Brooke loved him. Brooke Payne loved him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was legit, man.
Yeah. That was my dude.
Right.
And of course, still connected to his family today.
Absolutely.
I got his brother-in-law, he's over here helping me out a lot. He's one of my proteges, trying to help him get his own studio at his own house.
Right. Right.
But he assists me, with the ministry here at the church as well. So it's all good. Shout out to Daryl. Speaking of shout outs, man, anyone you want to shout out, we kind of come to the close of, and hopefully this won't be the last time.
No.
Last time I saw you was last summer. We said we were going to hook up, but we never did.
You know how life goes. Life gets moving for us.
Life.
But we got to take time, though.
Be life it.
Take time. We got to take time, man. We got to take time. I tell everybody, man, with the passing of my dad, it just, things come into full circle. Like, you got to take some time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, shout out to everybody that I went to school with, man, at Normandie. I know some people are on here that posted earlier, like, oh, what year did he come to now NCS? Yeah.
No,
I was at the beginning,
OG.
man.
OG.
Exactly. We OGs, man. Like I said, this is iconic. Okay, so man, we was the pioneers, if you want to call it that.
Absolutely.
Kudos to everybody that went to Normandie Christian School, man. That has made it a major impact. I've watched majority of all your podcasts, and everybody that you had on this podcast has been very instrumental in their careers, and they've given Normandie Christian School a great name. So kudos to everybody that has been, at Normandie. It has been instrumental. And my classmates, Coretta and Ladidra.
Let me see if I can pull them up.
Yeah, Coretta Ladidra, you know, Michael Bryant, Chris Beavers, Tony Boyd. I remember you guys, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I remember, hopefully you guys are still around
There
and
you go.
they're on the page. But yeah, Karen Lee, you know, I remember everyone, man, everyone. And I even remember people that weren't even in my class, like Lynette Love.
Yeah. I see her from time to time.
Yeah, Lynette Love, I've seen her a couple times on Facebook. Joelle.
Yeah, Joelle.
Yeah.
See her from time to time.
Yeah, so there's people that I didn't, you know, wasn't in my class. But again, man, my brother being right behind me, 2 years behind, you know, the John Blacks, just keep, you know, naming Darren Hudson, of course.
Yeah.
You know, I
El
just keep going.
Presidente.
Yeah, man, yeah, absolutely. And I told him before I got here, man, kudos to him and you guys for keeping this thing alive, because without you two, nobody would know who's doing what.
Man, you know,
mean?
I
This
get
is
sick and tired of
fabulous.
Darren telling me what to do. I'm like, look, dude.
This is fabulous, man.
No, shout out to Darren.
Right.
And, you know, I just want to shout out one of our other alums, and we were talking, you know, pre-show, Harvey Wilson.
Right.
Out
Big
there,
Harv, yep.
out there protecting the
Right.
#1 draft
Right.
pick.
Right. Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter over there in Duval. Is that what they call it?
Duval County. Duval County. Harvey, come see me, man. Leela Henderson, cannot forget you.
Absolutely,
Cannot
man.
forget you. God bless you too, man. And thank God that you're doing well.
Yeah.
Thank God you're doing well.
Absolutely. So
Cheryl
yeah,
as well. Cheryl, you already know Cheryl. I'll see you in a couple of days, I'm sure.
Yeah, she's looking forward to retiring, I believe. I think
she's
this
been
is
phenomenal.
going to be her last year.
She's the head nurse of the district.
Yeah, that's what I know. I know.
man.
She's-
I need to get her on here. I need to get Cheryl on here, man.
Hey, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pioneer, man. For
Absolutely,
sure.
man.
Pioneer.
Let me go ahead and, man, so check it out. I appreciate you again hopping on, man.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having
You know,
me.
long time coming. I
Absolutely.
was super excited when I saw your name, when Darren reminded me the other day, because he gave me the whole list for the year.
Right.
And that's when I was like, oh, yeah.
I was honored that he asked me. I was honored that he asked me to say, oh, yeah, that's a no-brainer, man. Like,
Absolutely,
yes.
man. So, you know, I appreciate you hopping on. Love
Thank
your
you.
family.
Thank
you know,
you.
your
Love
brother.
you guys all too, man.
And, you know, we go way back.
Right,
So
right.
appreciate you, man. Let me go ahead and wrap up the show.
Yes.
You sit tight
I will.
over there, and I'm going to wrap up the show.
Peace out to everybody.
Hey, guys, so check it out, man. We've been going strong for about an hour and 46 minutes doing our thing, talking about NCS, reflecting on all the goodness that we experienced while attending Normandie Christian School. And so, again, just want to say thank you to Brother Sean for hopping on. And, you know, he could have zoomed in, but he's like, nah, I don't want to zoom in. I'm going to drive all the way from the Valley to Compton, pull up. I'm going to pull up on you, Mr. Riley. I'm going to pull up on you. And he did. And so I'm just so happy that he was able to hop on and be a part of the Best in the West NCS podcast. And so from those schoolyard kickball games at Normandie to leading young men under the Friday night lights, your story, Sean, is inspiring, and we appreciate you coming in and being a part of this wonderful opportunity called the NCS Best in the West podcast. So check it out, guys. We are on all of the socials. All right. Sorry about that. So you can check us out on all the socials, Facebook, of course, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And then I've been missing out on all this good, rich conversation that's been happening. I see Erwin. Erwin was in the house. Of course, Darren, I see. Todd Jackson was on, watching his brother kind of kick some knowledge. I see Dolores Parker was watching. Not too sure if you're still watching, but again, thanks for being a part of this experience. Hopefully you learned something, and you know, we just can't wait to do this over again next month. I'm not too sure who the guest will be. I'm sure Darren will probably try to run in here before I close up shop and let me know. But we will catch you at the end of the next month. I'm your host, Mr. Riley, coming to you live from the West Coast, the best coast, the West Side. Thanks for watching, and I will definitely see you in the next podcast episode. Thanks for watching. Peace.